Decorated World War II and Korean War Marine Corps fighter pilot, New York Yankees star second baseman, World Series champion, Padres manager, Hall of Fame sports broadcaster. He played baseball with the best of the best, a New York Yankee. His selfless service to country in 2 wars is unmatched among baseball major leaguers in the history of the game. His colorful personality and expert game calling and commentary has graced the airwaves for over 50 years. He is Colonel Jerry Coleman, famed war-proven U.S. Marine Corps pilot, Major League Baseball All-Star, Hall of Fame broadcaster. Born September 14, 1924, Gerald Francis Coleman was raised in San Jose, and like so many young boys in the early days of baseball, America's sport, he not only loved the game's bigger-than-life persona, he envisioned himself as a major leaguer. At Lowell High School in San Francisco, baseball was king, and the New York Yankees were the kings of the game. And that suited Jerry just fine, because he was truly skilled. And at just 17 years old, the Yankees signed him as an amateur free agent, every young American boy's dream. But timing was not with Jerry. His momentous sport moment coincided with America's entry into World War II, the event which would change his life and career forever. For Jerry was about to fulfill his other dream, flying as a naval aviator. However, since he wasn't 18 yet, he began playing baseball with the Yankee organization in the minor leagues. But like many young men, Jerry didn't want to miss the war. He wanted to serve his country during its most momentous time in history. Jerry is, and always has been, a fervent patriot. Jerry ultimately was commissioned a Marine Corps officer and awarded his Wings of Gold April 1, 1944, his first assignment to fly the SBD Dauntless dive bomber. The new, young Lieutenant Coleman flew 57 combat missions with the 341st Marine Scout Bombing Squadron, the Torrid Turtles. Guadalcanal, the Solomon Islands, and the Philippines became his new stomping grounds, and Jerry was awarded 2 Distinguished Flying Crosses and 7 Air Medals. In January 1946, Jerry was transferred from active duty to the inactive reserve list and resumed his minor league baseball career. He was a crack second baseman, excelling at the double play. No one could match his quick, sure hands. In 3 short years, 1949, he was called up and joined the Yankees as starting second baseman. He was the 1949 Rookie of the Year. In 1950, he joined the All-Star team, and in his first World Series that same year, he was the most valuable player of the series. One of 6 World Series rings he would help earn with the Bronx Bombers. He was the class of the game. Soon the storms of conflict called Jerry from baseball player to Marine pilot once again, and in 1952 Jerry's country called on him. Jerry was asked by a Marine major about his feelings being called up again for service. Jerry's response, "For how long?" When told 1.5 years, Jerry answered, "If you need me, I'm here. I've always been that way. I've always felt that your country is more important than anything you do in your private life." Assigned to the famed VFA 323 Death Rattlers, Jerry flew 63 combat missions in the gull-winged F-4U Corsair, involved in close air support and strike missions. Released from active duty again in 1953, he returned to second base for the Yanks, the only Major League Baseball player fighting on behalf of his nation in 2 wars. Jerry retired from the Marine Reserves as a lieutenant colonel in 1964, a decorated combat veteran, adding 6 more Air Medals and numerous Navy citations. Comfortably back home at second base, the Yankees continued their domination, and Jerry added a needed spark. His teammates included such greats as Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra, Phil Rizzuto, Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford, and the great Don Larson. Jerry still considers his teammates during those years a special experience, which shaped the final phase of his life. Retiring from the Yankees in 1957, Mr. Baseball turned to the airwaves, first as a pregame interviewer for Dizzy Dean and Pee Wee Reese on CBS's Game of the Week, then jumping to New York radio, calling play-by-play from 1963 to 1969. Moving west to the pregame show for the California Angels, Jerry anchored the evening sportcast of KTLA in Los Angeles. He was almost home, but not quite. Jerry moved just a bit further south to San Diego, broadcasting the Padres games for the first time in their 4th season, 1972. He's seen firsthand the good, the bad, and the ugly, typical of the growing pains experienced by any new major league franchise. His trademark catchphrase is,
"Oh, doctor, you can hang a star on that, baby!"
have endeared the Colonel to generations of San Diegans. Just as he was once an all-star Yankee, he became an all-star Padres sportscaster and spokesman. Jerry has not left the Padres booth since 1972 except for 1 year, when in 1980 he became the Padres manager. But his role as voice of the Padres, along with his old buddy Ted Leitner, was more important to the team. He's energized millions of San Diegans to support their team. Jerry has been calling Padres play-by-play for over 3 decades and was ultimately inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2005. Jerry Coleman also serves as spokesman for the Spirit of 45 campaign, a nonprofit working to preserve the legacy of the men and women of the greatest generation. For his unwavering loyalty to his nation, as a valiant Marine Corps decorated aviator, the only Major League Baseball player to fly combat missions in 2 wars, and his skilled play and dedication to America's pastime, the San Diego Air and Space Museum takes great pleasure in inducting Jerry Coleman into its International Air and Space Hall of Fame.